Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the It Doesn't Matter podcast. And we've got myself, Strap, Fax, John, and we've got
the Dominican Dream, baby. This is Bobby Platano.
There he is. And we have returning guests. We've got
BDC 243.
There he is. And we've got the host of the show. We've got
I'm the notorious one. I am Dom. Boom.
all right, and as another part of our It Doesn't Matter podcast Superstar Series, we're here to discuss the ninth wonder of the world, Joanie Laurer, also known as Chyna. Dom, what have we got going on this week with Chyna?
Chyna, Joanie, whatever you want to call her. But when I first seen Chyna ragdoll Marlena through the crowd, I'm like, who the hell is this?
Yes.
And like, damn, you got some big ass muscles.
Yeah, she was.
I was like, is that a dude? When you first seen Chyna, you know, as a kid, we were probably, 1997? We were probably, 9 years old, 8, 9 years old?
Yeah,
that must be a dude.
8, 9 years old.
It's a crazy time seeing that, but you never seen that before. Like, she came out of the crowd out of nowhere and just, who is that woman? Stop her. Vince. Typical Vince. And next you know, you see that she lined herself up with Triple H, and that was basically Triple H's enforcer. And yeah, come to find out, we found out later on in the years that them two were dating at the time.
Yeah, when you bring that up, I really try to look up something to compare that to, but I have not seen a woman just make a debut like that where she's just like, nobody knows who that was, and she's just ragdolling a WWE talent, and just, you're like, what the hell is going on? What we were just in shock. She made an impact from day one, and she's still making an impact to this day, but we'll talk more about that later on.
You know they try to recreate Chyna. Nicole Bass.
Oh,
failed.
yeah, that nightmare.
That was not good.
That was terrible.
Like, she was not easy on the eyes at all. God damn.
Yeah, was she on like Howard Stern's like sideshow freaks or whatever?
Yeah.
She might have been, if I remember
She visited the Howard Stern show more than once.
Yeah, I know she was on ECW.
Yeah, she...
But you couldn't recreate Joanie. You can't recreate Chyna.
No.
Chyna, she's one of a kind.
Yeah, it's like a if factor. People just, either you have it or you don't. Some people are just born with it. Some people have to develop it. Some never get it no matter what they do.
Right. And the thing of it was, she didn't really need to talk. They slotted her in a role that she was kind of born to be in. As soon as she got there, she was an enforcer. She just went there, she kicked ass in that.
She was your solo Sequoia.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And you know, once they decided to start kind of softening her edge, where she wasn't just this big old brute. I think it's around the time where DX is really solidified, and they started putting her in storylines, specifically the one with Mark Henry, where Mark Henry was kind of wanting to be with Chyna. That's going to be her down the line, I'm sure. But, you know, they kind of started trying to soften her up a little bit and not be so hard around the edges. Then it was like a whole nother dynamic came around, and she just went from being an enforcer to literally becoming the ninth wonder of the world.
yes, she was.
Strat, what do you think about her debut?
Does that even think maybe even makes sense to anyone outside of the world of professional wrestling? The ninth wonder of the world. There's only 7 of them. What's 8?
Andre?
Yeah, that's for the outsiders,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But no. Talking about the early influence of Chyna, yeah, she made one crazy debut, and it was a crazy time for the World Wrestling Federation because 1 month out, no one knew what the main event in WrestleMania was. So you just you're debuting new characters, you're having main events that may or may not happen. It was just a wild time in 1997 for the WWF, and that created a very more interesting product, as it were, at the time. But yeah, Chyna was a great heater for Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and sometimes things just come together. You can't really explain it, you can't really predict it, and he would, latch on to Shawn Michaels later in the year, become the new number one heel faction, overtaking what Bret Hart was dominating over, leaving Bret Hart to wonder, what role do I have here?
Right.
They're pushing me out. And yes, they were, Bret. They were all in on it, I swear. But yeah, so like any good act, eventually, they turn babyface, and that's what they would do within a little over a year's time. DX would become one of the most popular acts in the WWF, and Chyna would get away from her muscular, very masculine. Trying to cover up with so many words here. Her look, and she did soften up there.
And
and
she softened up and tightened up in the chest.
And in the jaw. Shawn Michaels super kicked her chin to oblivion. Had some work done, But yeah,
Set her up for the future, that's all.
Yeah.
Sure. Eventually, Chyna would take it on the chin from all members of D-Generation X. So there you go.
Vince too. Hogan.
No, that's Christy Hemme.
They were what I'm talking about.
Anyway.
Tombstone.
Anyway.
All right, but
Pepperoni, please.
But yeah, she was the heater for DX, and I hated DX. I hated Shawn Michaels.
Still do.
Nah, I like Shawn.
The hell with him.
I hated Triple H, and I definitely hated her because she would always interfere in the Rock's match, and that shit would piss me off every single time, especially that ladder match, SummerSlam 1998. 8 Madison Square Garden, I want to say. John, 98?
It was 98.
MSG, Highway to Hell.
MSG, Highway to Hell. Highway to Hell. That yellow ladder. The Rock's climbing up, and next thing you know, bing! Right in the nuts.
Yep, I remember that.
I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this bitch getting on my damn nerves. I couldn't stand her every single time. And then I'll never forget the day when The Rock disrespected her, when he had her on her knees, and the nation's holding her, and she's on her knees, and I forgot what exactly what The Rock said. I gotta find that promo. That was, whew. That's too hot for TV, Jerry Springer. But my God, and of course DX came, they whooped the nation's ass again, and just an ongoing factor between The Rock and Triple H. And
was that around the time where Chyna decided to moon him?
She could moon.
I think that was probably a little later. But yeah, that's when they started doing the babyface stuff,
Yeah.
Her tight cheeks.
Like, oh my God, Chyna mooned somebody. It's like,
Okay.
Yeah, you got Michaels hanging out with, his briefs and the banana and shit like that, and she turns around and just have like the little bow on her butt. And she's dead serious too.
Yeah. She's got the Solo Sokoa look to her, just like, oh my God.
Oh man, yeah, it's wild. But BDC, I mentioned this to Strap and Platino one time. I said they could have furthered the nation and D-Generation Next by adding Miss Jacqueline, your girl, Miss Jackie, to the nation instead of pairing her with Mark Miro. Like, you could have definitely do that, because them two rugged chicks, and Chyna definitely could have learned from Miss Jackie. I'm not sure if they ever tied up in the ring or not.
that is something that, oddly enough, I have never thought about, but damn, that would have been a good idea. That would have been an amazing idea.
Boom. Yeah, you definitely could have furthered that rivalry right there.
Yeah. But instead, they kept throwing Jackie at Sable. Yippee-ki-yay. But yeah, that would have definitely been hard hitting. That would have definitely been hard hitting. So
Yeah,
man,
sign me up.
sign me up too. Sign me up too.
No, I'll just pass the petition to someone else. You can sign it. I mean, I just didn't see it. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but no, I just don't think Miss Jackie was, that kind of. Could she have developed that kind of character? Maybe. We don't know.
Well, I mean, her personality was always like, even as a face, her personality was always that of a brawler, somewhat. So, like, yeah, she was technical in the ring, but she always came off, regardless of whether she was a face or a heel, she always came off as somebody you probably did not want to meet in a dark alley. She might just kick your ass. So,
I don't know.
She would have made a perfect foil to Chyna, who you definitely did not want to meet in an alley at any given point during her career.
I feel like the size difference would have made the visuals a little bit harder for anybody to actually believe. Not to say that Jacqueline isn't a tough SOB, but freaking, you put Chyna, who's about 5'8", 5'9", if that. I don't even know how tall she is, but she's jacked to the gills, and Jackie is a little bit shorter on that side. All she has to do is go.
Jackie's about 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah, Chyna was in the class with Miss Jackie. You had Luna Vachon, so she was gonna learn from the best.
Yeah,
right.
Being there, and then they got Sable, and I'm not sure who else. I'm not sure who else they had at that time, but they would start going to the pretty faces, so they didn't care about the rough women. So but no, I thought about that, and I thought it could have been, something special.
Yeah.
Could have definitely helped Jackie for a little bit more.
It wouldn't have been a squash match by any means. It would not have been that. Because, I mean, if you look at majority of Chyna's matches, once she was, quote-unquote, softened up, a lot of those matches weren't squashes at all. So, if you could put her in a ring with a Tori Wilson, per se, or somebody like that, and have a go at it and have an actual lengthy match, then Jackie, you definitely could put her in the ring with and definitely have a good match out of it. I would not have put her in a ring with the Chyna that first came in, the one that almost mangled Marlena. I wouldn't have done that.
No.
I wouldn't have done that. But once they started to soften her up, definitely would have been something, an avenue to pursue.
Well, she came in at the hottest time in pro wrestling, the Attitude Era, and everybody had their part. And you think her being with Triple H and Shawn Michaels at that time basically elevated her career?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Because at the time they didn't really know what to do. They really were still trying to figure out what to do with the women that they had. So putting her with them two, allowing her to not necessarily have to deal with the other women on the roster, but actually being able to go out there and actually fuck with the men, was definitely a great move for her early going. It was definitely a great move because basically she was built like one in the beginning. So it was believable that she can go in there and she can scrap with some of the smaller dudes that were in there. She definitely could. So it was a very smart move putting her in with those two to form DX, be able to kind of get the attitude and the shenanigans part in, but also when they needed it, she was able to go in there and throw down when she needed to. So I always thought that was a great idea for them to put her to put the three of them together in that first rendition of DX.
Yeah. Well, I'll always say that perception is always going to basically be like your reality. So if you're always in the main event scene, you're always with the main event guys, everyone's going to look at you as a main event player.
Yep.
So Chyna being with Shawn and Triple H and The Rock and Austin and Taker and being a part of all those storylines, all you're doing is developing her character. She's still, maybe she may not have developed like those guys have, but she's basically looked at as a main event player. And when people talk about Chyna, they're like, oh yeah, she was one of those pillars right there that helped grow the Attitude Era at that time. So they put her in, like you said, they put her in the right spot. She excelled. She was box office from day one. Like, you look at her, you're like, holy crap. Like, how can you not make money with that?
Yep.
I mean, it is difficult because not many women were built like that at that time.
Not at all. Not at all.
So her coming in, say around this era, it still would have made a big impact, but it probably would have been a little bit lesser. But it would have given her more of a challenge because she would have had girls like Charlotte, Camille,
Jordan
Grace, yeah, Tessa right now coming up. You got
a
whole bunch of females coming.
But if you really think about it, how many of those ladies make it if there isn't a Chyna? Because we might have still been knee deep in the Divas era at this point, so there might not have been women like Chyna. There wouldn't have been women like Chyna and all of that in there, if not for Chyna.
I gotta say that if it wasn't for Chyna, there probably wouldn't even be a women's division at all. And again,
yeah,
if you don't have a superstar, what's the point of starting a division? Mm-hmm. It's just like the cruiserweights with Eric Bischoff. If you didn't have Rey Mysterio, if you didn't have Eddie, if you didn't have Jericho and Benoit, what's the point of having this division here? It's not making me money.
Right.
So, if any female doesn't really realize that Chyna was a credit to why the division's even where it's at right now, you're looking through blinders. She was the reason why you guys even have a division, why you're looked at, and why you continue to grow and have a spot on TV, which you needed.
Right.
We don't need to see the eye candy all the time. I mean, it's great because you're actually trying to sell to like the younger generation, like our generation, for money. But when you want the athleticism, you want a Chyna. She had it all.
They definitely made her an attraction in the beginning. She was definitely an attraction. Okay, she's going toe to toe with all these dudes and whatnot. And then, like you guys said, that they basically softened her up, and she became, more a female. So you want to make her your feature female, you got to bring in some talent. So that they start training Trish Stratus. They bring in Lita. They got Molly Holly. They got Ivory. Jackie's still hanging around. So they starting to do little things, but they're still trying to go that pretty route. That's why she obviously fixed herself up a little bit, but it's cool. But let's talk about her going toe to toe with the guys. They want to. Well, I mean, go one on one with the guys, and I know who had heat? Didn't like Jericho have heat because he like punched her or gave her a black eye or something like that?
Yeah, he gave her a black eye during the whole. I think it was like the little series of matches that they had, and was it him in Chyna that had the housekeeping match, or was it
that was Jeff Jarrett?
Jeff Jarrett? Oh, still.
Yeah, he didn't want to lose that match. He didn't even want to be in that match.
I don't blame him. I mean, I feel like it would have hurt his character at that time, but I mean, he still was so over after, so it's tough. It's tough because you don't know what your career is going to be like. You're not used to guys losing to women at that time. She's still brand new to the company. Her character is just something you've never seen or dealt with, so it's intimidating. I'm not gonna lie, it's very intimidating. And Jarrett being like a third or fourth generation, it's like this isn't what I grew up on, so it's different and it's hard, and I get it, but she definitely left the impact though.
I don't know if Jarrett was over at that time because John, was he with Owen Hart at that time? That tag team?
Well, Owen Hart went to early retirement, and he was with Deborah and Miss Kitty, wasn't he?
Okay, yeah, but I know that she had the buzz cut and whatnot because I don't think he had that don't piss me off mentality at the time.
Don't make me mad, Jack Specific. No, well, if you want to back it up a little bit, Jeff Jarrett got his head shaved at the SummerSlam 1998 when he lost to X-Pac, and they did shave him there, and that's when he joined Southern Justice and had his little bit with them. And then in the early parts of 1999, he teamed up with the late great Owen Hart, King of Hearts, Owen Hart, and after that, he was supposed to be feuding with Stone Cold Steve Austin. But Stone Cold wasn't having it because Stone Cold has a memory like an elephant and remembers some things Jeff Jarrett said to him back in Stone Cold's younger days. So Jarrett was just floating on without a direction. So that's why when Vince Russo left to WCW, his bestie on the writing team, he was like, greener pastures. I'm going to go to WCW and see what I can get. And, well, he became WCW World Heavyweight Champion eventually. So it kind of worked out for him there. And he was a featured main event guy. Was he an actual main event guy? It's your opinion. He did headline many WCW main events. He was in TNA as well. Was it at a bad point in those companies? Perhaps, but he still did it.
So he
You better be a main
WWF
event
from
guy
like.
in your own company. Jeez.
So wasn't he like WWF from like 93 to 96 and 96 to 98?
Yeah.
The WCW. Then he went back to WWFE.
Yes,
Yep.
he was in and out many times.
Yeah. Then the last time, that's when he held him up, for money.
Yep.
That didn't work.
No, I think
Was
he
it ever-
paid him. He did pay him for the gate, and then that was it. He's like, "Yep, you're gone."
I don't know. Wild time with Jeff Jarrett, but yeah. What do you think about? I'm not gonna say he really put Chyna over. They just basically embarrassed Jeff Jarrett. So
I mean, he put her over. He lost, and she won the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
So he put her over on his way out. But he did hold up Vince McMahon for a lot of money, an undisclosed amount. And that's why when Vince bought WCW, he was GOONNEE. Gone.
Oh.
But we're not talking about Jeff Jarrett. We're talking about Chyna here. Should be an Intercontinental Champion and go on to feud with Chris Jericho and the bombastic Hardcore Holly over the next couple of months and weeks. Eventually they would phase her out of the men's division, but she'd still be around there, hanging with Billy Gunn on occasion.
Wasn't she the number one contender for the World Heavyweight title at one point?
That's
Against
right.
Austin.
That's right, Jesse. SummerSlam '99. It was Stone Cold and Chyna. They put the graphic up, which means it's real. Chyna is all elite. It was Chyna and Stone Cold for the title at SummerSlam, but through a series of shenanigans, it ended up being Stone Cold, Triple H, and Mankind, and a bunch of hullabaloo. By 2002, we all think Triple H is overpushed. In 1999, we're like, just give him a chance. He really showed us Triple H.
God damn it.
But to go back to a point or two that you guys were talking about, no, I disagree with you. I don't think Chyna had anything to do with the women's division becoming a thing. They brought that title back for Sable and whoever they had her feud with. Sable and Chyna were just kept separate entities. They were DC and Marvel in the same Sony studios. You know what I'm saying? They just by the time Sable left and Chyna was almost forced to go to the women's division, she didn't want to be a part of it. Her last feud was with Lita. And then,
Yep.
yeah, imagine that.
wow.
I am trying to conjure it in my head right now. Lita and Chyna. But that was her last feud before Chyna left the company. She just,
Wait, So was that Extreme Lita or was that S.A. Rios' Lita?
Extreme.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't with S.A. Rios, right?
She wasn't with him for that long.
No.
Maybe
How long
like
was How long was Chyna in the E for? Like 2000?
But May 2001.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, after
One or two.
WrestleMania, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Yep. Won the
Yeah,
title
she-
off of her, and that was it.
Yeah, beat the hell out of Ivory, beat the white off Ivory, and was the women's champion, and or not. I'm not really sure. So it's a blur for that time.
Wow. But all right, so what do you think about her feud with Jericho?
I mean, Jericho can just make anybody a star from any position he plays it. I wasn't a fan of it. I'm still not a fan of the intergender matches, like I've said many a times. But Jericho made it work. He knew how to make it worth your while. I mean that one scene, I think he has her tied up and he just hitting her with the hammer. I was like, oh Jesus! Like she's got to get her revenge for that. I don't know, just stuff like that.
Jericho had a very rough first year in the WWF. It didn't matter who it came from. If it came from Chyna, talking shit about Jericho behind his back, to Triple H, who was also talking shit about Jericho in front of his face. Jericho had a tough first year, but hey, you know the future is what it is, and he made it through all that junk, and he's a top superstar in any company that he's in.
I mean, imagine your actual debut into a company, and your first order of business coming into the company as the Millennium Man is getting your ass handed to you by The Rock.
What an honor!
That is your first order of business on the night you debut. You get your ass handed to you.
Yep. Trying to go one-on-one with the Great One, verbally. Nah.
Nope.
Definitely ain't
That was
happening.
Prime Rock too. Nope, absolutely not.
You think that was Prime Rock? I felt like there was still like a better Rock than that one. I think he was just cooking right there.
He was on fire.
Yeah, I think The thing,
He was on fire.
The thing with Rock is that he every time he came back, he brought a little different edge to the character that he came back with.
That I agree with.
And every time he came back, his promos associated with that particular character were ridiculously good. I say Prime Rock because that was really in that time where he was actually full tilt there all the time. So he was really building that character. He got to a point he left, he's gone for years, and now we just kind of go off of, oh well, he's back. Yeah, he's still as good as he ever was, but you know, as I said, his prime was still late '90s, early 2000s when he was full time. To me, anyway. That's still he's still prime at that point.
When you have the sideburns, prime time.
Yep, there you go.
That sums it up.
The curly top, and the mutton chops. Yep.
The John sideburns.
Question number one: where'd your sideburns go?
They're here today. Yep. Check out the archives. Oh man, but let's get back into Chyna. Well, we know 2001 she left, and we knew that her and Triple H, they broke up, and this is where she had her downfall. They couldn't keep it professional. Like they couldn't like stretch a dollar out of her anymore. Like they couldn't do anything. It was too much.
Chyna had her own workout gear in WWE Shop Magazine catalog. C9, that was her workout apparel. She also had a workout tape, which I do not have possession of, or ever seen or watched.
Yeah, but her emotions,
Well,
it got to her.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Find out that Triple H is with Stephanie now.
yeah, I mean that whole situation. If Never Mixed Business with Pleasure was a meme, it would be the story of Chyna, because literally, it was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and it also centered around her relationships. When she was with Triple H, and it was the highest of highs when she was exploding and stuff like that. Then he gets with Stephanie and ditches her, and now all of a sudden, she's out of a job. And she went from the outhouse to the penthouse with some of the other members of the group that she was a part of at one point in time. We will not go too deep into that, but it literally came down to basically her business got mixed with pleasure, and it shouldn't have affected the way it did, but it did affect the way it did. And I mean, she was never really ever right after that. I mean, she had a TNA appearance, a couple of TNA appearances after that, but she was not anything close to the Chyna we all knew. And I mean, a couple of months before she passed on, she was in Joppa for Maryland Pro Wrestling. I actually went to that show where it was her and the Hardys were there. And she was kind of talking about her story about what she had been doing in the time that she had been out of wrestling. And some of the trouble she had gotten into and some of the obstacles she was going through. And she had seemed to have turned a corner. She had actually was in really good shape. She was looking good. She was sounding great. She was talking about getting herself back into wrestling again as far as a performer, and then she was gone. And I was looking so forward to that second act to see what she was able to bring as this new version of herself. She had gotten herself cleaned up. She had got herself focused again. She had gone through everything she needed to go through to kind of build herself back. And she was very open about it and honest during this show that I was at. And so I was really looking forward to seeing what was next for her, with her rather. And unfortunately what was next was she passed away.
Man.
Yeah, it's sad. After she left WWE and she did have that brief time in TNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just spiraled downhill, and because I remember she popped up and VH1 had the show Surreal Life with the celebrities all living in the same house together, and you just see her have like emotional breakdowns and whatnot. And then I remember like later on at some point she was on some Dr. Phil show, Celebrity Rehab, I want to say. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think it was a Celebrity Rehab type.
Yeah, a lot of substance abuse and a lot of mental illness, and it just sucks. She didn't really have that that support. I think it was just like her mother or her sister or something like that. She had,
and it sucked because it's like it's literally if she had support from WWE, if she had had the support from WWE that most anybody else who goes through some issues like Sunny, for example, has had, I personally think she'd still be here.
Yeah.
I personally think she'd still be here. They especially Vince picked and chose who he was going to help. He picked and chose. And because she was involved with the man that ended up with his daughter, this woman made you bank and you're not going to help her? When you know pretty much your daughter and her ex-boyfriend is essentially the reason she's on this downward spiral, and you can't help her? Really?
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, she was only 46 when she passed away.
Yeah,
way too young.
She could have, still been in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been a trainer or, something.
Exactly right. Especially with the women's revolution.
Oh yeah.
When the women's revolution came on, she could have been knee deep in that.
I would have loved to see her in that.
Helping the women get up and get going on that.
I would have loved to see her in that Evolution PLE that they had, all the females.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to see her. I don't know who I would compare her against, but it'd been good.
I mean, I have pictures. I have pictures of her in that. I thought about it. I would have gotten a picture sent to you of her from Joppa, but she had actually gotten her weight down to, as far as body size, she would have compared to Charlotte. A little bigger, but she would have compared to Charlotte. So she would have been in that Charlotte Rhea class.
She's just as athletic, and if not,
Yeah,
maybe a
absolutely.
little bit more.
She definitely would have. So I really believe that she could have really made an imprint on this current women's revolution that kind of took off in the late 2010s.
I agree. I definitely agree. But how do you think she's gonna be remembered by the fans?
Well, I think those who've seen her are going to remember her as essentially a unicorn. A woman who could lay it down with the dudes, throw down with them, but still could play the role of just being a lady. I mean, you had the whole Latino Heat angle, which basically showed another side of her that people didn't even know she had. Yeah. So, she was dynamic in that way. They're gonna remember that part of her, but they're gonna, of course, remember the bad stuff too, the dramas and all the other off shit that happened outside of wrestling. They're gonna remember that too. For people who never saw her, they're only gonna remember what they saw on reality TV, which sucks.
Yeah.
Because she was so much more than that.
Yeah. Oh man.
John, what you think?
Well, I think I hate to be the John Lee Downer here on the show, but I think you're giving her too much credit. I don't think she is the kind of person or personality that would want to help the current generation. Not everyone who's a former superstar or athlete wants to help the current generation. Not everyone is as generous as Shawn Michaels or Al A-Train or any of those kind of guys are. I mean, would she have participated if she was eligible? Maybe. But would she have wanted to? Maybe. I don't see that. I mean, we're all not like any of us actually knew her, but we just know her from how we know anyone in the wrestling industry, just from as a fan perspective, whether we saw or met them in person or not. But
I take, as I said, I take my cue from meeting up with her and the Hardys when I was in Joppa, and listening to what she had to say. People can talk the talk, and I mean, based on what she was saying out there, it seemed like it was possible. As I said, I just hate that it never got a chance to kind of fluoresce to see anything happen as a result of it. But I find it hard to think that somebody who worked as hard as she did to get back to some type of normal, to the point where she might even consider getting back in the ring, would be somebody that just be like, well, fuck everybody else. I'm just here to do this here. People like that, they come with a story. People like that are usually the types of people that are down to help and help people, at the very least, avoid the pitfalls they encounter as far as their careers are concerned.
Not everything has to be very public or publicized. Even the former women wrestlers, Wendy Richter and Alundra Blaze, they could have contributed a lot more than just making an appearance in a Rumble match or something like that. But with anyone's comeback stories, whether it's male, female, or any kind of superstar, it goes one of two ways. They're either successful in it or they're not.
Yeah.
Or maybe they reach a personal, beyond pro wrestling. Maybe they reach a personal kind of success, and great for them. We just don't know about it. But unfortunately, we have already mentioned her name, but Tammy Sitch is the opposite end of that, where she, and you said, Vince picks and chooses who he helps, and not necessarily. I mean, that is their policy to help anyone who reaches out for it. So I don't know if Chyna was reached out for it, if she was a recipient of it. I don't know, and I don't know if that's even public knowledge. But that is their policy, to help any former superstar, like to rehab at least. And famously, Chris Jericho relays a story about Umaga and how Vince was just like, I tried to help him, but he just didn't want to go. He just didn't want to help himself. And then there's someone like Tammy Sitch, who presumably went to rehab or went out for assistance many times on WWE's dime. I don't know, maybe. And, she still succumbed to her own demons, and unfortunately, she affected someone's life. She was responsible for the death of someone, so she's in prison now. Yeah. And over the years, Sonny wants what Sonny gets. She's not going to get out of jail free card. But she was eligible for many comebacks over the years, especially since her Hall of Fame induction in Atlanta. We were just waiting. It's like, yeah, Sonny, come back. Yeah, we love you. It's never happened.
That was kind of like the kick me sign in the back for me, because it was like I remembered all the times where Sonny needed help. Sonny got the help. Then Sonny gets the Hall of Fame induction, which I still think Chyna should have got before her. And then she proceeded to sell her ass on the internet with that ring in tow. So yeah, I that was kind of the kick me sign in the back at that point, because it was like, okay, so you have somebody who now you've helped and put in the Hall of Fame, and she proceeded to pee all over it, be like, hey, I'm a Hall of Famer, and now I'm going to sell my ass for it.
We here on the panel are WrestleCon veterans, and I'd like to find the person, the guy or the girl, who has both of these items. A photo with Sonny in bed, and a photo of them holding Joey Ryan's penis.
Oh, hell no.
That exists somewhere, and in pro wrestling in 2017, that could have happened. And here's the picture. No, just kidding.
Oh, hell no.
Would you take a picture of Sonny laying in the bed?
Yeah, you could have a picture with Sonny in bed.
No, I seen people posted the picture, but would you do that?
Wow. I mean, I could have, and I didn't.
That's nasty.
Because it cost too much.
No, all them dirty mother lovers, same sheets. Like, yo.
Mother lover.
Yeah, that's terrible, yo.
Why are these sheets moldy?
Is there a glue factory here?
Oh, man.
Crunchy.
I wonder if I can find that picture right now.
Joey Ryan, $40.
I refuse to break my camera for that. Nope, I'm good.
That's crazy.
Don't need it.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
But, okay, so on a different side of, Chyna had an autobiography. Obviously, it was written with assistance. And it's the only time, it's a few times, I guess. I have read books over the years, but not like a voracious reader or anything like that. But after reading her book, If They Only Knew, for Chyna, I did not feel good about it afterward. I did not come away from reading that book with a positive opinion of Chyna. And, some people would say later on that, yeah, she just made up the whole thing, everything in the book. It's like, it just wasn't real. But I'm sure there are parts of it that have some semblance to reality. But I stand by that Chyna's autobiography, released, I think, when she was still in WWE, maybe. It was a terrible, terrible book. I'll stand by that. You can believe that, playa?
Oh, my God. You have any favorite moments of Chyna?
I tell you what, if you can find some clips, a lot of these happen in Japan, so maybe Goldberg and Chyna should have had a match in Japan. But Chyna did wrestle in Japan, I think for New Japan Pro Wrestling. She had a match, probably one of a handful of matches with Masahiro Chono, MVP's favorite wrestler. And it was a hard-hitting affair, especially a guy of Masahiro Chono's stature, one of the Three Musketeers, one of the top acts of New Japan, famous in WCW also. Actually, he was a WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Imagine that. But yeah, she had a match with, one of their top guys. So, and it was well received, well done. And if she could have kept that momentum, man, she would have been a menace in Japan. A top gaijin, for sure.
I always enjoyed when her and Austin went toe to toe, and I think it was the Royal Rumble, I want to say, and she's egging Austin on. Next thing you know, she gives him the bird, and Austin gets in the ring, and
Yeah, he's just like,
he's like, no,
what,
yeah.
really, we got to do this? Like,
Wanna
I'm
act
trying to
like
give
that?
you an out.
Yeah. He's
And
like,
I'm trying to
man,
help you. I'm
that
trying
ain't
to help
happening.
you. Fuck helping you.
Yep.
That ain't happening. But
I mean, one fun China moment was, I think it probably wasn't a good housekeeping match. Jeff Jarrett gives her a low blow, and she's just like, what am I selling here?
Like,
Fun
would hurt
spot.
if there was something there.
what about you, BDC? What's your favorite moment of China?
So oddly enough, my favorite moments with China was indeed the Latino Heat angle with Eddie Guerrero.
Right, yeah.
I think when she was Mamacita, I think that, like I said, for everyone who had been watching her and seeing her for this bruising brawler and just everything that she was to wrestling up to that point, to see this softer side of her, even if she had eventually had to take it out on Eddie himself, it spoke more to the person that she was developing into at that point, and showing people that there was just more than just this one side, and she wasn't just one trick pony. It showed that she had multiple layers and multiple dimensions, and I really appreciated that for her, because I thought if she developed a little bit more as far as a character, she could go so much further, and it kind of just grew up there. What the?
Hey, focus up.
You're the one who wrote it, not me. but yeah, so that, I would say, that angle for me was probably my best time as far as watching and enjoying China, because of the fact of them developing her out as something other than just, I'm gonna beat everybody down, or I'm gonna run cheap shots with DX or anything like that. They were actually developing her into her own world and her own character.
I got to back you up on that, because when you mention it, I keep forgetting about it. It's like, that was a great, angle for her,
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with, Triple H or DX, just like you said. And I mean, obviously that angle is still felt today. And it's just a great, one of those great things in WWF history that is too easily forgotten, and it shouldn't be. But yeah, that Mamacita, Eddie Guerrero, that's just one of the best things in WWF history, for sure.
Totally agree.
What about you, Platinum? What's your favorite moment of hers?
I gotta go with the same thing. I love the whole Mamacita angle with Eddie, man. Eddie was always one of my favorites. Always one of those guys that he had everything, and then he just added like more to the character of Chyna. So it's hard to go wrong with that one. I mean, you can go somewhere else. Where I was also thinking about the interview. I think they did they interviewed her and Sable, and Sable said something to her on live TV, and she said, "The only reason you have that belt because I don't want it right now." And Sable was just like, yeah, like
You might be right.
like don't mess with me.
My future husband can beat your future ex-husband.
Yeah, well, Chyna, we will remember her as an Intercontinental Champion. We'll remember her from the Royal Rumble.
She's still the only she's still the only women's IC champion, because we're about to have a women's IC champion in about a couple of weeks. So she technically won't be the only female Intercontinental Champion anymore, but she will still only be the only woman who's ever been the men's IC champion.
She won that joint twice, right?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Who should beat?
Jericho and then and Jarrett.
Oh, that's for the title for Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
All right, didn't know that. We know she's a women's champion. We've seen her beat Ivory, squashed her.
Yes, she did.
She was in the Royal Rumble, and she was the number one contender for the WWF Championship, which didn't happen.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have seen her be in the first women's Royal Rumble.
Yes, I definitely
That would have
agree.
been outstanding.
What you gotta say, Debbie Downer?
I thought BDC was going to go for the Royal Rumble factoid, and I was ready. I was itching. I was like, oh no, we got Beth Phoenix in there. We got Nia Jax. Oh, she's not the only woman in the Royal Rumble.
No. I just would have loved to see her in the women's Royal Rumble. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, but
I'd love to
Chyna-
see her in the Hall of Fame if that's ever going to happen. Son of a...
she is
No,
with DX.
we not. No. She deserves to be in there outside of just DX. She deserves to be in there outside of DX, bar none. End of story. And every year she's not in it is a year that it's Triple H and Stephanie's the reason she's not in.
who's gonna induct her though?
Triple H.
I'm
Russia.
saying like, who's gonna do the speech for her?
Triple H.
Jesus.
Well, yeah, because
X-Pac.
her mom passed away too, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Did
know.
her mom
believe
pass
so.
away?
I think she has a sister maybe.
Yeah, she has a sister.
I just don't know how she feels about the business, so I don't know.
I mean, it would be kind of cold to say, but like they're just waiting for her to die to put her in. I don't know.
I mean, they have a habit of doing that,
Yeah.
so it's sad.
When
Well,
the whole family's dead, then they'll put her in.
Well, this upcoming year, it should be Sid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sid should definitely be in. And goddamn, should be in there too.
Corny. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, while I would like to see her get in eventually, this year would be nice, but hey, it is what it is. But thinking about that, do you think they try to put Bray in this year?
There you go. Yep.
Oof.
Because I mean, I think we joke about Batista every year, but Batista, one of these years he'll go in. He'll decide to go in, but I mean, is this the year Bray goes in, especially off of the success of the White Six?
That's rough. That is rough. I think because it's so new, maybe they hold off a little bit, but you don't want to lose or have his memory be lost in the shuffle with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might get in if the White Six continues all the way up to Mania. Then you'll know more or less that there's a shot. Other than that, then maybe not this year.
I don't know. I'm still over the Hall of Fame after being in attendance for Goldberg and Hillbilly Jim stole the show. Not a good way either. I'm mentally done about the Hall of Fame. It's actually gotten better the past couple of years, but
I think they. I can't stand the current format. The whole we're just gonna have it in the ring. I can't stand that. I think that is just lazy.
I like that look.
Nah, I can't stand it. Like literally when they did it the first year and Brett got jumped going in the ring, I thought, okay, one and done. We don't have to worry about it no more. But they keep bringing it back. You know, I liked the old format. I will continue to like the old format. That's not going to change. And they might want to do more about limiting what people are going to say. I still remember Mr. T's speech, which we all learned he loved his mama. And, you know, certain people just need somebody to write their speeches for them, and other people could just free flow it. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, it's still kind of entertaining. I didn't watch it last year. I may watch it this year, depending on who's in it. I think they need to not have it the same night as a SmackDown, though. I think that's stupid. We're gonna do everything in one night. People in there tired and bored to hell, which is the reason why they have this format now, to make it easier to get everything done in one night. But that's just me. That's just my opinion.
They're cramming everything in.
Yeah, it's like you used to have your Saturday where you had your Hall of Fame. Then you had the main event on Sunday. Then they switched that to Saturday. Now it's 2 nights. So they're now throwing it on the back end of SmackDown, when technically they could probably be better served throwing it on the front end of SmackDown. But you know, that's neither here nor there. If they're gonna do it, just throw it on the front end of SmackDown, get it over with.
I'm over the Hall of Fame. Get a physical, you know.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'd love
spot you could actually go visit
location
to see. Yeah,
that I absolutely want is a physical location where we can go. It would have been nice if they had just kept WWE New York and they just put it there. That would have been lovely.
Well, they got a Hall of Fame. It's in Saudi Arabia.
I ain't going there for that dumbness.
well, John
That's
will
where
fly
it
out
is.
there.
That's
John
where
will
it
fly out
is.
there, no problem.
That's where it is. Only
I
14
guess
hours.
I guess if I want to go see that 50 diamond ring belt, I'll go there to see it.
There you go.
Crazy.
It's a big tourist
well,
country.
That's it. Chyna deserves to be in the Hall of Fame
Absolutely.
on her own.
Absolutely.
She's an icon. She broke barriers, and you want to get a Jordan Grace. You want to see Beth Phoenix. You want to see Natalya. Well, you see Natalya. She's a heart. But yeah, I would say she's a bona fide legend in the business. I would
Absolutely.
say. So that's it for Chyna. That's it for 2024. That's it for the It Doesn't Matter podcast till next year.
Oh. Scared.
Well, that's only going to be in a few weeks. But, you know. Guys, thank you. Happy holidays. I'm Notorious One. I am Dom. I'm here with Happy Platinum. I'm here with Strap Facts. I'm here with the man that took Cody Rhodes' title, BDC.
I will be defending it around my way. So
Take it from Kevin Owens.
yeah, anybody want to come defend it? Want to come and have me defend it? Don't call me. I'll call you.
Yeah, if you want to see him, you go see him in the back door in China. And we will see you next time.